Welcome to the park today. My name is Jeff. It's great to be here with you. How was school? Oh, we got a little bit of we got a good. What was so good about school this week? Oh, you don't know. What? School started on your birthday, so therefore it was good. Awesome. That's good to hear. All right. So, hey, there's attendance pads in the rows that you're sitting in. Love to have you fill that out. Let us know that you were here. Give us a good email address because we do all our communication basically by email. And as well, there are prayer cards in the seat backs in front of you. You can drop those in the offering basket later on in our worship, and we'd love to be able to pray with you and pray for you. So the next 2 weeks, this week and next week, we're on this theme about balance. You know, as I read the Bible, there is nothing in the Bible that actually talks about living a balanced life. And yet, we all, I mean, I don't know about you, but I hear all the time from my own mouth, boy, I wish I had more balance in my time, in my family life, in my this and my that, you know, and we want more balance. But the Bible actually talks about being unbalanced on God's side. It's a whole different thought and concept, especially as Jesus challenges us with taking things from our head into our heart. And let me invite Judy up here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story.
Good morning. So, balance, that's a really interesting topic for me. I don't know about the rest of you, but I think the idea of balance is the greatest deception that Satan sometimes throws at our entire world. I'm a control freak, and I like to make sure that my life is just going exactly the way I want it, and I have balance, etc. But in 2008, 2 weeks before it happened, a general approached my husband and said, you know, the guy I have in command of this one unit, it's not working out so well, so I'm going to send you to Iraq instead. And at the time I was working in Indianapolis, so I was driving 2.5 hours to work. I had 2 children who, one was in 08, 09, maybe junior high, and then the other was in elementary school, and he was going through children's hospital visits and things along those lines to diagnose some issues. And yes, all of a sudden, my husband was leaving. As a military life, yeah, I'm used to this. He takes off all the time. It's not his fault. Government calls, he goes. It's actually happened 4 times since 9/11, if that tells you a little bit about our military right now. But, back to the story. I said, no problem. I got this. I'm in control. I can make sure it all happens. And we got my mother-in-law down to help us. And as the time period went on and on, I became exhausted. And I started to sink emotionally, spiritually, mentally, until it was just way too much for me, and I collapsed. I was out of balance, but I was out of balance because I was leaning on myself, trying to do it all because I was Superwoman. I could do this. I could handle this. This is what the world tells us we're supposed to do, right? So God said, I got another idea. And when I gave out, I suddenly had to lean on him and have him carry me through the rest of the time my husband was deployed, and many months after that in order to recover. The amazing thing is, in 2013, Uncle Sam called again, and it was Sam's senior year, and I'm like, okay, God, you've got this. You're in control this time. I got to tell you, that was probably the best deployment my husband has ever had. I started every single day by saying, okay, God, here's my prayer. You guide me where you want me to go today. You're in control. I am not. And every night when I went to bed, I said my little mantra, which you're all probably going to laugh, but I really religiously do this, and I fall immediately asleep. It's just amazing. I basically say, I am precious to the Lord. You are my life and my salvation. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. I go through all of that. I say scriptures that mean something to me. I don't take sleep aids. Guys, I just turn it over to God and I fall right to sleep. Amen. So it was a total shift for me. You know, I went from the really ugly deployment, which broke me, and it broke me completely, to God carrying me through everything. And that lifestyle has continued since that point in time. Is my life in balance? No, it's not. This last deployment he just had, guess what? I spent it doing more for the church now than I did back in 08 and 09. I was still involved in the band boosters. I was still working a full-time job. I still had 2 very active kids. But my life was more under control because I wasn't under controlling it. So that's my challenge to you is if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling like, man, how can I get balance back in my life? Ask yourself, is it balance that I need? Or do I need to let God control the balance? Let's stand.
Amen.
Let's bless the Lord. Amen.
Yeah, why don't you stand and greet someone around?